All right, everyone. Happy Friday. It is amazing to see you all. Sorry, missed you all on Sunday. As you all can tell, I told you I'd be outside all day, and I was, and I got plenty of sun. Um, so I got me a little color added to my complexion. Let's see who we got in here. Oh, Red Day. Luna, hello. Hiron, welcome. Ian, good to see you as well. Tony, hey, congrats on the job, by the way, Tony. Um, yeah, and as far as the stream time change, we have got so many wonderful viewers from across the pond, which I'll be honest with you is something I don't think I ever really expected of this channel. Um, and the original time slot was mainly for my co-host back when we first started. And as many of you know, well, it's been almost a year since we've seen her. She's life happens, life happens. So yeah, it just made sense to since we have so many people in Europe and elsewhere to attempt to do an earlier time slot and see how that works. We're going to try and run all the streams for about 3 or 4 weeks on this new time slot, see how it works. Hopefully, those of you across the pond will find it much, much easier to attend the streams without staying up till 4 in the morning. A12, good to see you. Victoria, hello. Mangrove, happy Friday to you. Onika, welcome. The tan makes you look fresh. Thank you, thank you. It does me some good to get out and get some sun. We actually thought I was going to burn and peel, but it's been a week and no peeling, so. Let's see. Howdy, Red Cowboy. Hello, Luna. It's good to see you. Bornolda's forgot the stream was starting earlier. Yeah, I tried to post notifications early enough, and I reminded people earlier in the day, and I even reminded about 5-10 minutes beforehand in the Discord because I knew this was going to be a transition day, so I tried to give as much a heads up as possible. Penryn. Okay, sorry about that. Penryn. Okay. How is Linda? Linda seems to be doing pretty good, actually. Last time I spoke with her. So, yeah. Peachy, good to see you. Joanne, welcome. And Strawberry Rainy, welcome. So, all right. So, as you all know, we did miss Sunday, which y'all have no idea how much that threw my day off. It was so weird not doing a stream and getting to talk with you all. This is technically work for me, so you wouldn't think that missing work actually would throw off your day in a relaxation kind of way. But even though this does count as work to me, it was this actually is something I do enjoy and it does relax me. So it really messed up my Sunday. But that's okay. That is okay. Frankie, hey. I'm doing good, and I hope you are as well. And thank you for sending some peace back at you, mate. But that said, of course, this week the my wife came back home, so we're also trying to get her resituated, and I got to try and work my schedule around her again. So that's been a hoot. I have been continuing with the Fey path working. I didn't do a lot of work on the Cliffothic path working this week. The Cliffothic rulers have kind of pulled back on that, wanting me to focus more on the Fey for the time being, while we're sorting out some of the more hectic stuff that's going on right now. So there is that. We are still looking to do more classes on the school at workingdragonmystic.com. And thanks to viewer feedback, all the divination classes will be broken into individual classes, so you can pick and choose which divination you want to focus on as we film them and get them uploaded. And then once they're all uploaded, we will do a bundle pack, possibly. So that your all's feedback definitely helped us with those decisions, and we do highly appreciate that. KRY, Jade, Silver, welcome. Wild Arma, welcome. Okay, we are getting questions already. Woo! I ain't even through announcements, people. Oh, real quick before I do forget, because we are getting busy in here. Remember, we do have the super chat. So if you have an important question, if I'm missing it, instead of spamming, you can use the super chat in order to make sure it flashes up real big on the screen, because YouTube's little messaging platform over here ain't the best, but it's functional. And that will make sure that it flashes. I see it, and it will definitely get your question taken care of. But please don't spam. You can ask your question multiple times if it's missed, but do not spam in the process. We've had a few people who just keep posting it. If we see it 2 or 3 times before it's even disappeared off the screen, that's going to count as a spam. So please bear with us, because we do have a lot of people, and I can't get to all the questions. I wish I could. I really do. But I'll try and get to the best, all of them I can. And again, just a reminder, because I remember we had the last Research and Ramblings. Remember, we try to keep this NC-17-ish for the most part, in order to try and help jive with YouTube's guidelines and everything. So do remember that. Let's see here. All right, what do we got here? Tony, would ascension be denied from someone who is very sick and old and decides to end their own life, even if otherwise they would have ascension? That's actually an interesting question there, Tony. It really is. Now, this is actually one of those philosophical questions where I've spoken with many entities that deal with death and stuff. And the ultimate thing here is there's a difference in choosing to not live the life to the fullest and knowing when you are literally at a point you can no longer live life. So by the definition of you saying this, that you have a very old individual who's sick. Now we're talking, if you're talking bedridden, pain, there's really not much left they can do except wait it out. All the entities agree that is a circumstance where no, that would not be denied, because you did get out there, you lived your life, you did all that work. And that makes absolute and total sense. But if we're talking about someone who's more youthful and just tired of the hardships of life, yes, they would, because they actually tried to shortcut and skip the work and living of life. And living life, here's a big kicker. People don't want to admit this. Living life is not all fun and daiquiris. Living life is living the ups and the downs. You have to live through the downs as well. So that is a great question, Tony. Great question. And we jumped. Silver Scales, what do you think about the opening ritual in Demons and Magic, calling the angels? Do you use it? I've used it in the past. I do not personally use it in my daily practice, though. Before I recommend a book, I will actually work through a book. Now, one of the big things with this book was I was wondering how the energies worked and whether or not the rituals itself was respectful to the entities I'm summoning. Many of you know I do not like Solomonic magic because it's not respectful to the entities you're working with. Those rituals and the energies and the way the entities interact, they do remain respectful. I know the book is written in a way that it says the angels are protecting you, blah, 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 blah. But when you actually dive into the rituals and everything, you see that there is an actual understanding that the angels and the demons are working together and are allies, and there is a genuine respect within there. So, yeah, it is a functional one. And I have used it, got some good results with it. It's not my personal favorite cup of tea, um, but it is a functional one. And it does remain respectful, which I am grateful of. See, I'm trying to fast each full moon. It's a full moon now. I've been through a lot of meditation, but I'm hungry and I want to eat. Should I? My body is telling me not to care. Honestly, well, this really depends on why you're doing the fasting. It really does. If you're doing it for spiritual reasons, uh, then no, I'd say don't, because one of the entire purposes of spiritual fasting not only is a healing, but it's also self discipline. And if you give in and fold, you're passing self discipline, unless we're talking serious health issues. Like if you're getting lightheaded, dizzy, and you're having trouble standing, those kinds of things, eat something because there's something seriously wrong here. Um, and you also have to calculate in what's your normal diet like. Because if you eat a lot of carbohydrates, I don't care if they're processed or natural, or if you just eat fruits, any type of carbohydrate at all, your body's going to have a withdrawal. And that makes fasting a lot harder if you have any carbohydrates. So you do have to also calculate that. But ultimately, it's going to be your choice. There is no right or wrong answer to that, but you do have to take into account why you're choosing to do it in the first place. See what we get. Wow, we are jumping. We got a lot of questions zipping in here today. Uh, Scylla, what is your favorite book on the nature of the multiverse? I've actually not found a good book that I would say I recommend on the nature of the multiverse. That's kind of the depressing thing. That's one of the reasons I got so heavy into astral travel and then later soul travel, was because I just could not find a good book that made a lick of sense, and they all contradicted each other. So I got relatively annoyed with it. So yeah, I actually do not know of anyone I can recommend. Now, that said, there are certain books and everything that have philosophical viewpoints of the multiverse that I think are reasonable when working within the systems in which they are approached, similar to the Kabbalah or other things like that. But as far as a single book with a singular view of the multiverse, I've not found a good one. I mean, if you are looking for like the 28 laws of magic, which is essentially the 28 laws of the multiverse, because they do describe how the multiverse functions off of energy and whatnot. Of course, there's the video I did on it, in which I do talk about, I think it's Isaac Bonowitz's book, Real Magic, because he's one of the first ones that talked about those laws, though he broke them into individual laws and sub laws. Whereas for simplification, we just moved them all into a 28. That might be a good one to read, but it's more on magic, not the multiverse. But those 28 laws definitely do function within the multiverse as a whole. That would probably be a good one to go with. And the 28 are definitely more detailed than just the Hermeticism's list. Because the Hermetic list is essentially a distillation of the 28. Mangrove exotics. Without hardship, there is no happiness. You are absolutely correct. If you do not have a bad day, you can never have a good day, and that's no way to live at all. You got to have the good, or have to have the bad to enjoy the good. That's also how we grow. That's why it's called growing pains. Silver, do you have any book recommendations for beginning studies of dark magic or demon work? Well, first off, I would state you need to make an understanding that demons are not evil, and therefore it's not necessarily dark. You can do dark magic with angels. In fact, if you look through literature, angels have killed more people than demons historically, and for less reason. Um, Angels are not the little goody two shoes that modern people want to paint them as. But that said, I actually probably would recommend Damon Brand's Demons of Magic for a starting book. It's a fairly good one that's laid out well. Um, I do like it. You could also look at S. Conley's Demonolatry Goetia. So it's kind of a demonolatry approach to the Goetia, which is really nice because demonolatry being a bit more, considerably more respectful. Even though I don't agree with all their terminology uses because they change a lot of terms, um, it it's not a bad place to get started either. Um, I have Azazel. Ken, what do I think about going into animated division? You're not going to like my answer on that. I honestly find it to be useless. I find spending time in dimensions and stuff based upon pop culture and everything to be a waste of time and a form of escapism. And to me, that's not really a useful function. I understand why people do it. I understand it can be fun, um, but it's not something I personally spend time on. Can you tell me more about carbohydrates? Or I don't know what first time I hear that I'm a vegetarian. Um, I'll be honest, Welcome. It's hard for vegetarians to do fasting because there are carbohydrates loaded in vegetables. Whether it be in a fiber substance or something starchy, your starches, your beans, your potatoes, your plantains. So carbs are really, really hard to get away with. I myself, I'm a carnivore. I full carnivore. I don't touch vegetables. So fasting is actually a lot easier for me because I'm actually adept at burning fat anyways. And that's actually how I've recovered my health. And many people, even here in streams, commented they can see the weight loss. And I have been working on getting my health back in check. So carbohydrates are going to have that effect on you. Some people it affects worse than others. Myself, I eat a carbohydrate, it messes with me. Essentially I have insulin resistance, and because of that, any carbohydrate is going to spike my insulin so high that it's just going to wreck me. Um, Now, for those of you who can live a healthy life as a vegetarian, more power to you. Ain't for me. Um, but I tell my guests if you're vegetarian or vegan, just let me know ahead of time. I will cook for you. Don't try to convert me, but I will cook for you. I will happily cook for you to your specifications. Just don't try to convert me. It's when you try to force your beliefs down me. That's when we get a problem. Ian, do I have any experience with the Armanian runes? It's not ringing a bell with me, Ian. I mean, there's something about the name Armanian that sounds familiar, but it's not one that I'm immediately popping up right now. So I'm gonna have to say no. My brain could just be rusted shut on that one. The book, Waldemar, is I want to say it's Real Magic by Isaac Bonowitz. But if you go over and watch the videos on the 28 Laws of Magic here on the channel, I am almost certain I mentioned the book. Let's see. Yeah, there are keto vegans. It's harder to do keto as a vegan, but there are keto vegans. Uh, I'm truly amazed with your intuitional power because when I eat meat, I lose a lot of this power. I get more compulsive and slowly forget. See, I'm actually the opposite there. If I eat vegetables and carbs, I get extremely sluggish. When I'm on a strictly all meat diet, my energy levels go through the roof. My mental focus goes through the roof. I sleep better. My energy is just super high all day long. Um, my body's constantly healing. Joint pain goes away. I mean, it's amazing. That's why I do believe in science and data. And I think more than anything, we need not only science and data on why certain things function the way they do, but I also do think that certain people will react differently to certain things, just like some people have certain allergies. Like some people's allergic to a cat, so I ain't. That doesn't mean all people are allergic to cats just because we can prove people's allergic to cats. Um, it does appear with the data that most of humanity does function better on a meat based diet. That does not mean all of humanity. So it is important for an individual to find out what works best for them. I got a lot of friends who have actually been doing a lot of the food based experiments with me. They find a good mix. Something more keto esque works really, really well for them. Whereas I honestly find it just a strictly the all meat diet works best for me. And anytime that I gravitate off of it, I feel like crap. Um, so I think it's important to actually pay attention. I think one should be very, very aware of not only what they're eating, but how they feel when they eat it. And they also need to evaluate the long term as well. And I think in that you're going to get the better information. But I also think we need to start looking at the data that's been coming in, because like Dr. Jason Fung and them have been doing a lot of great research, and we have hard data that shows how the body's using this, not just a calorie is a calorie. A calorie is not a calorie. Um, in fact, calorie is like the worst possible way to actually evaluate your food. This chat is moving quick, so I know I'm missing a bunch of questions, and I apologize. Let's see. Sure, myself may have missed something, but can Guardian Dragon take the form of a book if it knows it's something you're comfortable with? Um, could they? Yes. Would they? Probably not. The general philosophy of dragons is if you're not comfortable with us, we ain't got time for you. So if you ain't comfortable working with a dragon, and seeing a dragon, and since guardians are small, I mean, the largest guardian's only going to be the size of a love seat. So if you're not comfortable with something that small that looks like a dragon, then dragon magic probably won't be for you. So it's not very likely that a guardian dragon is going to present as a book, because part of the entire purpose of the guardian dragon is to actually prepare you for moving forward. Um, so if you've done the guardian dragon ritual and you're seeing a book, I'd say go back and do it again. Now it's possible a dragon that is not a guardian dragon, because if you've not done the ritual to actually go find a guardian dragon, that's not a guardian. That's just a dragon that's hanging around. They might shapeshift into a book, because it's not literally their job to get you comfortable. They're just hanging around. That would be a different scenario. But a guardian, it's actually their job to get you comfortable. So yeah, they wouldn't do it. Hope that helps a little bit there, Strawberry. No problem. No problem, Wild. Happy to help. And yeah, wait till after stream. I may not be the best looking guy, but stick around. I usually have something interesting to say, or at least stay around and make fun of me. Let's see, what was it? Silver, what are the benefits of initiating into the cliff off? Well, first off, cliff off is not for beginners. Earlier, you asked about beginner level. If it has the word cliff off on it, steer clear. That is not for beginners. The benefits to initiating within the cliff off is knowledge, wisdom, and growth. However, that knowledge, that wisdom, and that growth can come very, very, very quickly, which sounds great. Sounds really great, doesn't it? But most people can't handle the pressure because it comes quickly and it comes harshly. There are no timeouts. There is no break. There is no breath of fresh air. There is no relaxation. It hits you. It's like tossing you into a wood chipper. There's no hold. There's no pause. You just go straight through the wood chipper. And who you are will not be what comes out the other end, because the you currently are is completely going to be destroyed and reborn into a much stronger person, assuming you can survive. There are a lot of people who do not make it through. I have seen people actually go insane working with the cliff off. I didn't fully understand it until I initially started researching it. And as many people here on this channel even know, my first foray into my research of the cliff off was one of the biggest magical foobars of my career. I actually opened 7 spheres of the cliff off in a week in order to just poke my head in and kind of look around to try and get an idea of what they were. And you can't close them. You open these things, they're in your life until the lessons and the work is done. And I opened 7 of them, and they spent the next 2 years just wrecking havoc on me. And everyone in my life will admit that those 2 years were a complete shit show. Most of them don't even know how I made it through those 2 years. But at the end of those 2 years, I did come out a much, much stronger magician, a much, much wiser person. And even in the physical realm, I ended up far better off than I started. Okay. If I had it to do again, I wouldn't have opened all 7. So it has benefits. I mean, all paths have their benefits. That's one reason I don't nail myself down to one specific path. But after that mistake, I did actually do deeper research and attempted to find a more guided style path working to where I could work through it a bit more. And I have been working through the cliff off the last 2 years, actually. Last year, I did an entire path working, and I've been, as many of you know, I've been working through a second path working with the rulers of the individual spheres. Last year, I just worked with the spheres. This year, I'm working with the rulers. And I actually have a third path working that works with the tunnels. It is no short foray by any means, and you need to be ready for it. It is not safe. It is, and it has consequences. And to make it through, you have to be able to own the risk and own the consequences, because you're going to look in the mirror and the only person you have to blame is you. But it is rewarding. Let's see. Let's see. By the way, I'm watching the show Merlin. It's old now, but amazing. I wonder if you know, is it magician? I have not seen the actual show Merlin. I've been told it is an interesting twist upon the old lore. But I personally have not actually sat down and watched the show Merlin. So I can't really say its accuracy one way or the other. From a few people that have said it, they said it does not follow the traditional lore much at all. But it is an interesting modern telling of the story. So at this point in time, without sitting down and watching it, I'd say probably not going to be very accurate. Okay. Can you talk about the descendants of it? Okay, this is actually going to be an interesting one because you're taking a comment I've said and you're twisting it. Because when I say my family and Loki, my wife refers to herself as a daughter of Loki, not because she is a direct descendant of Loki, no hanky panky, but because she has a emotional bond to Loki and she is close to Loki and she works with Loki. That is all. She's not a descendant of Loki. And honestly, for the most part, other than energetic linkages and entities that may show favor to us, by and large, humans are not descendant of any entity. We really are not. Now, the Fey one, this is where that generalization breaks. There was a time in the past where the Fey actually are entities that would spend a lot of time within the physical realm. And yes, they did intermarry and whatnot with humans. And what? So there is Fey blood in humanity. There's not a single person on this planet does not have Fey blood to some level within their genetics. But that no longer happens. The Fey have actually completely forbid that. So if that was to happen today in modern times, the queens would see to it that the Fey who broke Fey law was killed, and the human who broke Fey law was killed. Pretty much that simple. So most of it is just, it's not an actual descendant as we humans would know it. It's just an energetic similarity. But yeah, when I say my wife is a daughter of Loki, or she calls herself that, we're not talking she thinks she's a descendant of Loki. She knows better than that. She is talking about her work with Loki, how close her and Loki are. The fact that Loki is a mentor. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. The day you actually start owning up to your mistakes and you actually own your life and you stop blaming anything, I mean, people come up with the darndest things to blame. That is the day you truly, truly start to master your life. Because the second you own up to, I could have done this, I could have done that, I could have tried harder here, instead of feeling powerless, instead of feeling like there's nothing I could do, the system's against me, that is the moment you realize the power's in your hand. You can change where you're at. And that is truly where self mastery, self discipline, and the ability to manifest the life you want really kicks in. And it is amazing once you actually stop blaming everyone else. I'm not saying blame yourself. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, but take responsibility for who you are, where you are, and own it. That is when you really become empowered to the point you can manifest whatever you want. It's a hard thing to do. It's a really hard thing to do. But it is also one of the most empowering things a person can do. That's and honestly, if you rephrase it just a little different, instead of looking in the mirror and like, Drake, you was a dumbass today. No, look in the mirror and say, Drake, we done the best we could today. We got someplace. We ran into some roadblocks. We hit some problems. But tomorrow, we're going to do everything we can to do better. That's how you do it. You're taking full accountability. You're taking full ownership, and you're also putting forth the effort to go further tomorrow and do better than you did today. That is really how you do it. Well, Wild Arma, I'd actually say when it comes to you can absolutely be sure, then that's kind of a belief because there's no way to actually prove that they're reincarnated. None. Absolutely none. Um, so at best, you can go with spiritual belief. Because I know 50 people who claim to be the current modern reincarnation of Merlin. 50. That's their belief, but clearly 50 people have not done that. Mangrove, you actually bring up a valid point there. Now, in that scenario, under the theory and philosophy that the Norse gods were once human, that does raise an interesting point. But again, that's something we can't necessarily prove. And honestly, that's the reason I don't talk about stuff like other kins, bloodlines of entities, and stuff like this. Because there are way too many people in these communities. They just want a freaking gold star. They really do. They want to feel special for no reason at all. And they don't want to do the work. They don't want to learn. They don't want to grow. So they pick some kind of I'm the incarnated blah, 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 so they can get a gold star and special treatment. And that shit pisses me off. It really does. And that's one reason you don't hear me talking about it on the channel much at all, except when you all answer it. And I usually start with, you're not going to like my answer because of that. Um, and I honestly think we need to focus more on who we are here and now. Let's just say for a moment, you were the reincarnation of Merlin. Big freaking deal. What's that mean? Absolutely nothing. You know why? Because you reincarnated into a new you that has no power, no ability unless you're willing to do the work. So, whatever gold star you're trying to give yourself for this is absolutely meaningless. And people get too caught up on those instead of actually making progress. And this is why we have so many people who claim the title of high priest or priestess who couldn't even manifest enough money using their so-called powerful magic to pay their freaking bills. Victoria, it can actually be different to tell the difference between a human spirit and a human looking entity. It really can. It takes time and experience, but eventually you realize that there's a vibrational difference. and you can pick up on it. Even different groupings of entities have actually different vibrational energy. Like the Norse pantheon, all the entities in there, even though they're drastically different, and they have very different energies, there is an underlying current that feels unique to them. And then you'd go over to the Olympians. Again, they're all drastically different, but that underlying energy of the Olympians and the Norse is drastically different. And just like you could pick up on, this must be a more Nordic entity as opposed to an Olympian, human spirits have that same underlying current there. So you can actually pick those out in time and experience. It does take time. It does take experience, but it is possible. And some people are more sensitive to it, so they actually learn those differentials a little faster. What is your opinion about dragons that have been sent to guard or be with a person by another dragon or entity? Sent, it's not unheard of. It doesn't make them a guardian dragon by any means. Dragons are very protective, especially of children. They don't even have to be sent. If a dragon happens to be in the vicinity of a child, they may not know them, they may not even like them, but dragons are extremely protective of young. So it's actually very common for young children to see dragons because they are actually very protective and they will watch over them. But again, that's not a special bond or link of any kind. It's just one of those things where they'll do it. I know several entities. Dragons are allied with. Still, I haven't found a grouping of entities that dragons aren't allied with. That's the easiest way of saying it. If there is, once I find them, I'll update you. But it's not uncommon for those entities to potentially ask their dragon allies to also help look over these other entities. Oh, I'd agree. It's definitely someone ego hiding from shadow work. I would agree with that very much so. So, it happens. That's one reason people's like, Drake, you're such a smart guy. Why do you call yourself a dumbass? I'm checking my own ego at the door, people. I know I do stupid stuff. If I didn't do stupid stuff, I wouldn't have done that little Clifothic experiment without thinking and just ran in there and messed myself up for 2 years. I do stupid stuff. I'm not perfect. Okay? No one is. We're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to have trials. We're all going to have hardships. We're all going to have obstacles. We're going to have things we have to learn and overcome. But that's the beautiful part. We're all actually in the same boat. We are all equal. No one gets a gold star because we're all equal in this. But that also means based on the work we're willing to do, the knowledge we're willing to gain, we can go anywhere we want. And to me, that is the ultimate freedom right there. I don't want to have to wait on someone else. I don't have to depend on someone else. I am very, very, very happy to know that it's all in my hands. Good or bad, it's in my hands. Oh yeah. There's been a lot of toddlers that I know of many entities that have actually looked after toddlers during accidents, and dragons are definitely very, very high on that list, if not possibly the number one entity that looks after them. So yeah, when it comes to children and protecting children, entities are really good at that, and dragons especially. They are just absolutely wonderful with kids. Victoria, that can happen. That can happen. But ironically, if it does happen, more often than not, the entity will make sure no one else sees a problem with it. Because yeah, it's happened to me. I ended up talking to someone I didn't know. Everyone saw the person. But when we looked back at my conversation with the person on a security camera, I was talking to air. Everyone on that camera saw the person standing there. Everyone walked around the person standing there, but the camera never saw the person. That was actually one of the big what the holy crap moments in my magical career. And it's actually the moment that had me to research dragon magic for the first time. So it can happen, but usually the entity actually makes sure you don't look like a complete lunatic when it's happening. So no one else will notice, which is really cool and nice of them. I do enough stupid stuff. I look like a lunatic already. We need a refill here on coffee. Let's see, we got 24 people in here and only 16 likes. Can we get those likes up, people? Let YouTube know you actually do enjoy me, even when I'm very, very tanned for being out in the sun. All right, there's some. Mugs up to y'all. Appreciate it. Amen. Lunatics for the win. I'll be honest with you. People tell me, ask why I do what I do. And I'll tell you, I don't want to be normal. Normal's boring. I'm perfectly happy living the adventurous life I live. I do crazy stuff for fun. I try new things randomly. It makes life worth living. It really boring? Really? Oh, no problem, Victoria. That's why we do these. I do try to answer the questions. I really do. And well, it's always good to get out here and be able to chat with you all. Also, let's see. We're getting ready. Okay, we're at the 46 mark. So, yeah, don't you put no bows on my hat, Luna. You're going the right way for a smacked bottom. But yeah, it's trying to get and connect with you all has been great. As many of you know, we are on the dark half of the year. We're past the summer solstice, and this is the time of year when I get really, really busy. So these live streams, they mean a lot to me because I really don't have time to answer all the emails and potentially all the questions. The Discord is growing more and more by the day, and it's a great community. And I wish I had time to interact with everyone. But if I do that, I will get nothing done around the house or at work because there's just so many of you and just one of me. If I could clone myself, that'd help. But right now, we ain't going to be doing that. Of course, if I clone myself, that would just be cloning me more trouble, wouldn't it? Because let's be honest, even clones of me, they're going to do some crazy stuff. And I'm sure we'd come up with great ideas and all of us would participate and do something really extra stupid. But I digress. So, yeah, the live streams really do help me reach out and stay in touch with you all, which is helpful to say the least. Let's see. We are actually looking to potentially have my daughter guest star in one of the live streams, or one or two of them even, possibly in August-ish. So many of you who've been wondering about that and asking about that, you may actually get to see that. And part of that is we're going to have an interesting announcement about a project, which we've mentioned here on the streams a time or two, but that is getting closer and closer to taking off. As y'all may know, I won't go into details here, but we are looking at starting a second channel, not a magical channel, but a channel with me and her, something we can do together that we can basically share our goofy, nerdy natures and have a bit more fun and connect with people on a less philosophical, serious kind of topic, something a bit more laid back, relaxed, and having fun. As we get closer, I will have more details, and I do hope any of those who are interested in that content when it does come out, I hope you would join us over there. Let's see what we got here. Oh my God, another Discord. Yep, we have a Discord. If you go to the About section of this channel, you should find a Discord link there. I'll be honest with you, Wildham. I do not go to Discord communities. I really do not. In fact, funny story about Working Dragon Mystics Discord. I'm not the one who thought about setting it up. One of my viewers actually thought about it and ran it by me, and they set the Discord up and everything, built it for me, invited me to it, showed me around, showed me how it worked. And I said I would consider doing this and possibly launching it. As soon as I said that, they actually handed the server over to me, and they're like, there it is. Let's, do what you want with it. So I gave it a short try. Me and a few people really sat down and thought about, how can we try to handle this to keep the community and the discussions in a practical, a logical, and hopefully lack of ego area. And that's what we did. And it took off. And honestly, in the almost 2 years now that server's been up, we have been very, very blessed with a really, really solid community over there. Many of the people are here, like Luna, and the admin there, though volunteers, work very, very hard to answer questions and help, ease things over. And it is an easier way to potentially get in touch with me on times. So I personally feel very blessed that our server so far has not gone down the ego crazy loopy way that some of these other servers have. So I feel very blessed by that. And I think a large part of that is not only the admin who do work very hard, but I think it's because in general, because you can't even participate in the server without reading the rules. I think most of those people, they know before they ever jump in there that their shenanigans won't be tolerated. So, pretty cool. Cal, welcome. Hey, better late than never. We did start early, Cal, so it's not really your fault. I started the stream earlier because we started at 5 instead of 7. So I tried to make sure everybody got an early announcement so they could plan accordingly. We will start doing these more at 5 so people across the pond can make it. But yeah, sorry for the sudden change in pattern. If you want the secret crazy advices, that would be the membership area here on the channel where you click join. And then you can sign up for a monthly tier donation. That actually, I communicate with those members quite a bit. We even do occasionally tier 3 only live streams. We've only done one of those since we've launched that particular thing, but we are planning a lot more of those coming up in the future. And it also, there's monthly spell workings and stuff like that. So yeah, it's going to take a little adjustment for everybody. I actually almost forgot myself. I looked over at the clock. I was like, oh, 4:30. I still got a few hours. And my wife's like, I thought you were starting at 5 today. And I was like, oh, I am. So I was almost late for my own stream, people. I really was. Hey, Wizard Warrior Man, doing good. Nerdy Vampire, how do you become a dragon witch? Well, you just start working with dragons, really. Check out the Dragon Magic playlist here on the channel, Nerdy Witch. There's a lot of information on dragon magic right there. And there's also the Dragon Magic 101 course that's for beginners over at the online school, which is at workingdragonmystic.com. You can go there and click on the online course tab, find that there. But dragon magic, depending on how you're using the word witch, If you're using it as a spirituality viewpoint and religion, dragons don't do religion. They don't like it. They don't like worship. Though there are some witches who do utilize dragons and worship them as elemental beings, and even some put them on a deity pedestal. That would be a completely different thing, and it's not something I really teach or advise on, because y'all know religion's not my bag. For those it works with, more power to you. Don't try to drag me into it, but more power to you. But just by and large, if you're wanting to work with dragons, you just would start working with them, in which case the Dragon Magic playlist here on the channel is a great place to get started. Let's see, Joanne, I like the Discord a lot. My questions get answered there without my even having to ask them. Oh, y'all so sweet. Thank you much. I'm so glad that I took the chance on that after the person made it. I almost just deleted it. So I'm glad I took the chance, see? Sometimes you have to meditate and listen to your gut before you listen to your knee-jerk reaction. There you go. Yeah, listen to us on the train. Okay, Tony, let's see what this one is. Why do you think it's okay to do antidepressants, but that it would be bad self-mastery to do psychedelics? That sounds quite inconsistent. Good question. That is a good question. Here's the difference. Here is the difference. First off, when it comes to self-medicating anything, I don't support that. That's simple. Whether it be a psychedelic or a depressant, I don't support that. And this includes alcohol. I actually do not use alcohol as an inebriatory substance in a ritual. I will not do it. If I use a spirit during a ritual like alcohol, I only do very, very small doses that I know for a fact will not affect me, or I just use it as an offering. That's it. So I won't even use depressants or downers in the concept. Now, when we're talking about medically prescribed medicine, I got no problem with that. I got no problem with that. And I do know instances where psychedelics have been prescribed. Fine and dandy, no issues there. It's when people are self-medicating and utilizing them in a manner that isn't part of health. And when I said antidepressants, and when I said I'm okay with antidepressants, I also said that in a manner based around them being prescribed for your health and well-being. I did not say it was okay to utilize them randomly in a ritual for no reason other than you're using them in a ritual. Does that clarify the differential? Because it's not inconsistent. That's very consistent in my opinion. I'm anti-self-medicating in general. That's just period. Anything that can affect your mind in that drastic of a way is not something that you need to be playing around with so willy-nilly. It needs to be monitored. It needs to be understood, whether it goes up or down. And yes, I include alcohol and all other substances in those categories. Does that help answer your question a little there, Tony? No, Tori, I would agree that there's a habit to overprescribe or seek out a prescription for depression medications where a lot can actually be done before the medication is prescribed. I would agree with that. I would. But that there are also instances where the medication is required. Now, even though it personally, my doctor tried to prescribe me depressants at one point. My only request was, let me try this to see if I could get out of my funk first. He agreed to it. I got out of my funk. Wonderful. That said, also, I grew up in a church with faith healers. There's been at least 12 faith healers who laid hands on me and said I was healed and I no longer had epilepsy. Newsflash, if I don't take my medicine, I have seizures. I freaking have epilepsy. So do I take my epilepsy medication? Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. So it's not as clean cut as all that. But let's also be honest. 98% of the people who come to me asking about psychedelics, there's no health issue, there's no nothing. They just want to use psychedelics for the experience. They're using they're using it as a crutch for ritual, which again is not leaning towards self-mastery, or, and this is the sad truth also, they want an excuse to use drugs. And they're trying to sneak it in under religious practice. Let's be honest, 98% of the people who come to me with that question fit into those two categories. But that is a good question, Tony. I respect the question, and thank you for asking it, because I could see how that would view as inconsistent. But I do draw a hard line there, and not very much wiggle room. But that's totally cool, and I appreciate you asking. You guys come in here. You bring on some good questions. And I do love how, like Tony here, she asked about those and she asked for clarification. And that is great. This is how we grow. This is how we grow, people. We ask questions. This is how we grow and learn. And honestly, I've had students, I've had mentors ask me questions and challenge my viewpoints. And they also helped me a lot because they presented a new angle that I hadn't seen. And you have to be willing to adapt. You can't just carve everything in stone and be like, that's it, I'm done. Because you may be presented with something that challenges your stance and your views, and you have to be willing to consider it, because that's going to help you grow and become a more complete person. I'm sorry, Tony. I apologize. I did it again. My bad. Sorry, man. I will get it. I'll get it. Give me time. Keep reminding me. Make fun of me when I screw up. I will get it, Tony. I will. Get it. Sorry. My apologies. Mugs up, man. Oh, I'm so glad you can laugh at me when I screw up and do that, though. Appreciate it. Well, Mangrove, Devil's Advocate. Let's go ahead and cover this real quick before we move on. Devil's Advocate, those are used in very, 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 very specific rituals and in very, very specific ways. And the practitioners and shamans who utilize those substances do not require them. They have learned to do the rituals without them. More often than not, the substance is used for those who do not have the training. They're used for the non-practitioners who go in to receive insight. Or if for some reason the practitioner is having an issue, they're not necessarily used all the time, and they are not the mandated. They are a aid. They are still just that. They are still an aid, even within those cultures. So Devil's Advocate, it still fits into those categories. And if you are a part of those cultures and those practices that use them, that's a very specific situation. And for those people, you do you, boo. I would support those cultures. I would support those people. But that does not mean I'm just going to swing open the door and change my view on self-mastery, period. Because any real shaman will quickly and happily tell you those are substance aids only. And they're primarily used for non practitioners who are incapable of reaching states on their own. And that's the kicker. If you're a practitioner and you are seeking self mastery and knowledge, you should not be seeking to require an aid. You should be requiring self empowerment, as in you can do it yourself. But that is Mangrove. That was a great question to ask for that to make sure that, to cover it. That was good. That was good. All right, everyone. We are going to hop off here. We're a little over our hour, and I will be seeing you Sunday. How about that? We get to actually have 2 streams this week. Yeah. Again, I'm sorry about last Sunday. I missed y'all. But we will see you this Sunday for Magical Coffee Hour. There will be coffee. There will be conversation. I'm sure you guys are going to bring plenty of good questions, and I'm sure we'll have some fun. In the meantime, y'all have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy it. I am actually going to attempt to take a day off tomorrow. We'll see if that happens. Probably not, but we're going to attempt it. And then, of course, I will see you Sunday. So stay safe, keep working, keep practicing, keep manifesting, and keep trying to do better today than you did tomorrow. We all have our ups. We all have our downs. We're going to fall. We're going to trip. We're going to land face down in the mud, but we can continue to get back up and keep moving forward. And I'll see y'all Sunday. Have a good evening. Take care. Bye.